With liberation. Down, down with the occupation. Up with liberation. Down, down with the occupation. This is about to be our keynote panel. We need more energy coming in than this for the keynote panel. We have speakers coming from all over the world who have centered Gaza in every single aspect of their work. Are you guys ready for that? I'm not quite hearing it in your voices yet. Are you guys ready for that? Let's try it one more time. Free, free Palestine. Free, free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. Free, free, free Palestine. Viva, viva Palestina. Lucha, lucha Palestina. I don't think it's quite there yet, guys. We have Mahmoud Khalil joining us today. We have Mahmoud Khalil joining us today. We have Huwaid Arraf joining us today. Let's try in Arabic. Maybe that'll get us the energy we need. من غزة طلع القرار انتفاضة وانتصار ومن غزة طلع القرار عيش الكرامة وانتصار. I know we're still taking to our seats. We're going to begin in 2 minutes. Our keynote panel. This is the one. This is the one to bring the energy for. This is the one to text all of your friends right now. The keynote is starting. Gaza is the center of the world. All of these panelists are going to bring us into that from their perspective. Diverse movement leaders, journalists, Abu Bakr Abid. Who here has followed Abu Bakr Abid over the last 2 years? Who here is excited to hear from him? Are you guys really excited? Really excited? All right, make those last minute texts. Grab the people you see. We're going to get started in about 2 minutes. عهد الله شو ما يكون ولا نرحل. Everybody raise your flags. Raise your flags and kufiyas in the air. Get the flags and kufiyas in the air, everybody. We're about to start. This is the moment. I don't see him in the back. I see the front doing good. The back, are you going to let the front have more flags than you? Are you going to let the front have more flags than you? We have people standing in the front now, but not so much on the left side. Raise your flags for Palestine. Raise your kufiyas for Palestine. We're still looking a little low on this side. We're still looking a little low. This side's all the way up. Who can match the energy over here? Who can match the energy on stage right? Front row. We're about to get started, but till we do, keep the flags high, keep the energy high. This is our keynote panel, everybody. Our keynote panel. Gaza, our compass, the center of our world. Make some noise for Gaza, make some noise for our panelists, and please welcome Rama to introduce the next portion of our program.
Give it up one more time for Atahid and for yourselves. Give it up one more time. Are we ready? I can't hear you. Are we ready? Say free Palestine. Are we ready? Free Palestine. Are we ready? Free Palestine. Amazing, amazing. Thank you all. Welcome back. Have a seat. Today, our keynote panel carries a profound theme. Gaza is the center of the world. This truth reminds us that Gaza is not marginal, not distant, not an abstraction, nor merely a crisis zone. It is millions of living stories. It is the story of a grandfather and the love of his granddaughter that is captured in his words, Ruh el-Ruh, the soul of my soul. The story of a father who teaches his sons the songs of our ancestors. It is the story of the music teacher who guides his students to sing against the sounds of drones, transforming what could only be trauma into resilience. The story of grade school teachers who give everything they have to keep education alive. Their grandmothers who knit hats and sweaters to keep the children warm. Their stories of fathers risking their lives to stand on long lines for flour, refusing to let hunger break their families. The mothers who transformed the fear in their children into strength. It's the healthcare workers and their stories that continue treating the wounded with bare hands and broken tools, refusing to give up on life while bombs drop around them. It's the stories of the journalists who report while hungry, under embargement, through grief of losing their own families and colleagues, from their own besieged cities and camps. These are the stories of Gaza, of hardship, of love, of resilience, resistance, and the fight for survival in the face of genocide. And we are not separate from them. We are a part of this story. You are a part of this story. And together, we must carry it forward and into every space we enter until the genocide ends and until justice and liberation prevails. Our keynote speakers will help us see why Gaza matters, not only as a place, but as a compass, guiding us towards justice and reminding us of our collective responsibility. Our keynote speakers today brings together a collective of voices, reflecting the truth that our struggle for liberation is not the work of one, but a shared effort of our movement. We are honored to have all these thinkers and leaders with us today. Give it up for our keynote speakers. It's gonna be hard to introduce these amazing leaders and thinkers, really hard. Our first speaker should be here in person. However, he was denied a visa to enter the US. As a reminder, we are gathered today in the Anas al-Sharif Hall, martyred journalist and the son of Jabalia refugee camp in northern Gaza. Our next speaker, like Anas, is one of the many brave journalists without whom Gaza's pain and resistance would not have reached millions. During this genocidal war, those in the English-speaking world have frequently turned to this speaker, Abu Bakr Abed. For his insights into what is happening on the ground and his analysis of the developments in Gaza. Give it up for Abu Bakr Abed.
Hi everyone. Very overwhelming, emotionally overwhelming to speak to you. I wish I really could be there with you this time, but you know, the circumstances are different. The US has turned into a very fascist and sadistic country that has obliterated every human right in the world and all the international laws. I'm very honored to speak to you, and I'm very honored to be among those speakers as well. And I really have no words more to thank you for your presence, given the scale and the magnitude of Israel's war crimes that has been increasing every single day, especially recently. Well, as we are talking about Gaza being used or it being the compass of the world, and in Gaza being a journalist is not being a journalist literally, because journalism in Gaza is genocide documentation. It's not journalism. Journalism means that you will be in a different setting to report, and to report in a way that would suit any journalist across the globe. But that was a genocide against us, in which I lost many members of my family, many members of my family, my extended family, and I also lost my very dearest friend and many of my neighbors, and I survived many Israeli attacks. And because this is Anas al-Sharif Hall, when we must really honor his memory for the sacrifices that he has taken since day one, it's just, it's been truly unbearable since he really left us, and the news has been quite suppressed. But this is what Israel always wanted to do. And that's why I really left when I left Gaza 4 months ago, because I faced the same threats, and that's why I was denied the visa for the same reason. They smeared me, and they didn't want me to come to the US and be among you. But this is how the world has turned. But Gaza, for many years, because I worked also at the beginning of this genocide with many Western media outlets, including The Guardian and the BBC, and in one of the times, because this is how we can use Gaza as an example to go in our lives, because this has always been the story for many years, not from now. This hypocrisy and these double standards that have been exposed since the outbreak of this genocide have always been the case. The Western world never cared about us because we've been pained even before October the 7th. We've been hurt, we've been maimed, and we've been killed even before October the 7th. But the fact that we are still told, like, that the world has finally turned its eyes to what is happening in Gaza is what has caused us this. Because since I was a kid, I was exposed to the Western culture because I wanted to learn English, and I was naive probably to believe what they were writing in books about the Western culture, that it always saved or maintained the human rights for every human being across the globe and into international laws. But then when I grew up, I realized that all of this was a mere facade, and they were just mere platitudes, nothing. And this set of rules just applies to some categories in this world and not the whole world. In Gaza, we were on many multiple occasions, especially before I left in a couple of weeks. We always wanted to say the truth, no matter what the cost was. Although we were not protected, we were working in tinted makeshift workplaces, spaces, and we never had a rest. We never had a rest at all. We just wanted to sacrifice in a way, because every single one in Gaza is a resistance fighter in their own way. And when we talk about how reporters and journalists and media workers in Gaza are what they are dealing with at the moment, we talk about horror stories and unbearable anecdotes that everyone has every single day. And that's what happened to me a week before the genocide. My cousin's family, all of it was wiped out. And then I had to appear live on TV saying, I'm the mourner, I'm the griever. Moments before one of the live reports I had to see my cousin killed in front of my eyes with his son, and then doing the report, doing the same thing, and then going to the funeral, bury his body, and after that go back. So we're not those so-called Western journalists who are trying to heroize themselves all the time, who are living high on the hog and fancy in five-star hotels. We're not those people. We will never ever accept selling our souls for a few dollars, a few euros, because this is what happened. This is the main cause why this genocide has been still ongoing for many and many years, for many and many months. It should have been stopped if those so-called Western media outlets had done their job, but they never chose to, because simply they are cheap sellouts, and we've seen that repeatedly. And until now, that is one of the main causes why this genocide is still ongoing. But we, for many months, and since the outbreak of this genocidal assault on the Strip, we sacrificed our lives, we sacrificed our families. And I remember, but just tell you this, to remember the words of my mother, a week before I left Gaza, all the time at night before the dawn prayers, she would come and tell me, I just wanted to check on you because I thought you were bombed. And my sisters would say, whenever they would hear a quadcopter over the house, they would say that this was coming to you and to kill you. This is what Israel has forced upon us. Everyone doing their duty is a target, is being criminalized. Doing your duty inside Gaza is being criminalized. And for The Guardian, because I worked with The Guardian, and after working with the Western media outlets, they just approached me saying that, Abu Bakr, you seem that you praised the resistance or whatever during your last post on Twitter or tweets. And they said that if you want to delete them, we can continue working. Although I was very desperate, because I'm telling this story because a lot of people are afraid for their wages to be docked, and a lot of people are not ready to make the sacrifices, while we are making the sacrifices to save the humanity of the whole world that has been dead for a long time. There is nothing at all. And then I said no, because I know the history. I'm a living story that is right now going outside the world to talk about what I left in Gaza, and to talk to you at the moment. And I refused that, although I was desperate and was in a very desperate need for the money, because I believed in what I believed in. And no matter who we are, no matter what we do in Gaza, we've been reporting relentlessly. We've been doing our best to tell you the story. There has to be more action. There have to be more people standing up. Journalism is not working in the biggest media outlets in the world. It's about exploring the essence of collective humanity in this world. It's about transcribing the feelings of people and adding and mixing the pain into your pain and carrying that wherever you go. That's why I'm still traumatized. That's why the trauma is a very huge source of this resilience and steadfastness that you have seen over the course of the past 2 years. So finally, I just wanted to say that whatever we do and whatever we will do, our hope continues because of you, and that's what you need to continue. Thank you.
Thank you again, Abu Bakr. Thank you for all you've done to reveal the conditions in Gaza, and thank you to all journalists reporting from the Strip. Our next speaker is a Detroit native who has been at the head of many, many popular efforts to break the siege on Gaza. You will all recognize Huwaida Arraf from the recent Handala flotilla. But this was not her first trip. Huwaida was on a 2008 flotilla and on the 2010 flotilla, which was attacked by the IDF and on which 9 people were martyred. Shame, shame. Still, she remains persistent and organizing to break the siege. Brothers and sisters, please give it up. Quick change of plans.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Just like every heavy lift for our movement, sometimes there's technical changes, and we're gonna embrace those. So we're switching up the singers. Give it up for everyone who organized this conference one more time. Endless months of organizing. So we're gonna switch up the lineup just a little bit. Our next speaker is actually Hatem Bizian, Dr. Hatem Bizian. There's not much to say about Dr. Hatem. I call him my young mentor. As an educator myself, I learn a lot from Hatem, and he's a mentor for a lot of faculty and professors in higher education, teaching us to ensure liberation is core of our curriculum and our pedagogy. So it's really an honor for me to be able to introduce you, Hatem. Students and educators have a long stood at the forefront of Palestinian struggle across the world. Higher education and universities are key site of struggle, where SJPs, Faculty for Justice in Palestine, MSA, GUPS, and various other networks of professors and students forming and fighting against Israel's genocide on Gaza. Give it up for the students and faculty. In response, Israeli propaganda institutes have earmarked more than $30 million to campus institutions to fight against the resistance of students and faculty. To understand where we must go and what Gaza demands of us at this moment, we look at experienced educators like our next speaker. Give it up for Dr. Hatem Bizian.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So on December 9th, the week of December 9th, usually on Friday I give a sermon in one of the local mosques in the Bay Area. So I get the text from the Harara family, and the request says, أستاذ هل من الممكن أن تدعو لعائلتنا في صلاة الجمعة? Would it be possible for you to offer a supplication for our family in the Friday prayer? He said, we have lost a large number from our family members. I said, كم العدد حتى أذكرهم في خطبتي? How many of them? So I may include them in the khutbah. I thought it will be few people. He responded with the text, 25. May 9th, 2024, the same brother sends me a list. He says, could you remember my family that were lost in Gaza? He said, we lost 10 today. The same type of request comes from A'ilat al-Qarra. A number of their students have been my immediate students. And then A'ilat al-Hijazi as well. Between the two families, right now they account to about 137 that were lost, murdered in the genocide. I could mention a number of other family members, including my immediate students in the classroom, where a student says, I can't write my paper right now. I just lost my maternal uncle and his family. Can I get an extension on submitting a paper? What we're dealing with today is a genocide that has been imposed on the Palestinians not since 1948, but since 1917. And we need to be able to write history, a history that needs to not only recall Palestinians of the past 2 years, but the Palestinians that have continued to face the structured dispossession, demonization, multiple transgenerational genocide, and continued erasure. Now, I want to say thank you to the student movement. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for putting up with the multiple layers of complicity and co-production of genocide. You are on the correct side of history. And in the same way that the students in the free speech movement, in the anti-Vietnam War, in the anti-apartheid solidarity movement and Central American solidarity movement, the students were demonized, arrested, harassed, prevented from some completing their degrees. History remembered them, and history books, cafes, murals, art exhibits remember them, but not the chancellors, the administrators, the chairmen, the police, those who arrested them. They are in the dustbin of history. In the 70s and 80s, the student movement address had Soweto and South Africa on it. Today, you and those who are in solidarity with you on campuses and in the community have written the address of Gaza as the central focal point of global history. Today it's Khan Yunis, Jabalia, Rafah, Gaza City. That is the consciousness address for the global movement for justice, liberation, and resistance for the world. Now, I say this while knowing that our opposition is watching and listening. I am facing 7 lawsuits, a Senate investigation, a constant FOIA, Freedom of Information request. All of this done on top of a 2017 spying operation, Mossad on campus, that spent $2.5 million to spy on me and those who were promoting and working on the PDS. I laugh at them as saying being myself is a stimulus to the economy because so many people have to be hired. All of this this is an admission on their part that they have lost the debate, and the only thing that is left for them is to muzzle and silence the statement of truth and justice. And therefore, we need to continue to speak truth to power. Now I have a few more minutes left, so I'm going to say and direct my last few words or last few minutes to what is taking place on campus. And these are 6 points that we need to remember. Gaza as a lived archive in the classroom. Don't allow anyone on the university campus to say talking about Gaza make me feel uncomfortable. Genocide should make you feel uncomfortable. The whole structure of campus climate was structured to erase Palestine and Palestinians from the campus. Gaza has to be narrated on the campus in the middle of a genocide. Second, we have to commit ourselves as educators, as those on campus, and also as those in the community. And I'm also critiquing Muslim Zionists. Muslim Zionists, don't tell me that God wants you to be silenced in the middle of genocide. The essence of Islam is justice, and the essence of Islam and the adab of Islam is to speak truth at the moment of genocide. We have to make sure in our pedagogy, the way we teach, that Gaza is present. We need to make the students speak their history, speak their feeling, speak their understanding. If Al-Hijazi family had death in Gaza, they need to be able to speak about it on campus. And the university should ask them, how do you feel? What can we do for you, rather than actually bring in the police to monitoring them? Third, I know some are going to report, oh, he's angry. I am angry at genocide. I am angry at genocide. I'm angry at children being killed and nobody cares. I'm angry at the university, where all Palestinian universities have been destroyed, and they're literally gaslighting us about somebody's feeling that the hatta is making them uncomfortable. Yes, I am angry for your silence, indifference, and lack of concern for Palestinians. 50 seconds, I'm marking my time. Third point, Gaza is an intellectual mirror for higher education. I always spoke about the embedded intellectuals. We have so many embedded intellectuals in the university. They just want a bigger grant. They want to actually have importance. They want a new book of nothingness to be published, so they will feel important in promoting the nothingness while they are embedded in power day in and day out. We need to put the mirror to the university. Fourth, we are carrying the emotional and ethical weight of the university. We are carrying the ethical and emotional weight of empire, and we need to remind them of this day in and day out. 5, this is very critical at the time of research and knowledge production. You have to ground your research and knowledge production in the moment. I know everybody wants to do research, so they want to move up from an important professor to a chair, from a chair to a vice chancellor, vice chancellor to a chancellor, to a person who knows nothing and say nothing. We cannot and should not engage our research other than making transformative change. This is the time for you to do so. And I want you to go out. Every university should have a Palestine studies program. Every university should engage in challenging anti-Palestinian racism. Every university should have an Islamophobia studies program. And I want to tell you, don't accept the university to use symbolic inclusion. What is symbolic inclusion? Let me tell you. You walk on the campus and you see all the pictures of women in hijab. You see pictures of Muhammad laughing, eating a falafel. Right? You see pictures of people that are melanin endowed. And you think the university is actually engaged in inclusion. That is all symbolic inclusion. Symbolic inclusion is structured around structural exclusion because you are not there at the decision making. In this current period, and I'm going to talk a little bit in here for just a few seconds to the Muslim students, increasingly the university discovered halal food and discovered wudu. Right? So they're trying to bring to the Muslim students, say, we're going to give you a halal place in the university to eat a hamburger slaughtered by an Israeli company maybe. Or we're going to help you get a wudu station, but stay silent on Palestine. Don't get involved with these troublemakers that are working on Palestine. Just make sure that you know the direction to Mecca that is coming from our friends who speak no truth, speak nothing whatsoever. Don't allow the university responsibility to provide you halal food or a place for wudu and prayer to be substituting for you to be silent on genocide. That is something that you need to be very clear about. No matter how upward mobility they can get you in places of importance but lack of significance. Go out and make history by being persons that speak truth to power. The last thing I want to say, Gaza should be the focal point on campus. My campus is Gaza. In campus are Gaza. The library is Gaza. The research is Gaza. And we need to connect it to every part of the struggle. Martin Luther King says in the 1963 evil society, militarism, materialism, and racism. These can be re-understood in relation to Gaza as well as transnationally. The time is today for a free Palestine. The time is today to liberate the university. The time is today for decolonization. We need I say the following for you. Imagine and dream of a different new world and go out and actualize it. Go out, dream and think and research and work for a new world, a different world, a just world, an inclusive world, and go out and make it. Students transformed history. The time is today to transform history. Free Palestine, free Palestine, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine. Free Palestine. Another round of applause for Dr. Hatem Bizian. Our next speaker is one of the students that Hatem mentioned that refused to stay silent about Gaza. When the Trump administration tried to turn his immigration status into a muzzle, he continued to refuse. He refused to stay quiet. Addressing us through many letters from his ICE detention center where he sat for more than 100 days, Mahmoud Khalil urged all of us to continue fighting for the people of Gaza. Reminded us of what our struggle is about, what is important. the real-life people of Gaza, the concrete and actual stories, and all of those who are victims of the injustice that Gaza and the struggle against this genocide reveals. Immigrants and many, many others. A son of a Galilee and in a long tradition of Palestinian political prisoners who have provided our movement leadership, please, brothers and sisters, welcome Mahmoud Khalil.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. Absolutely. And if they think otherwise, what we tell them? We're not going anywhere. I mean, Dr. Hatem really fired me up. I'm not sure how I can match that energy, but it's true. The student movement is the moral compass of this country. And I want to say to Abu Bakr, when he said that we give him hope, in fact, we get our hope, we get our persistence from the people of Gaza. This is our moral duty to speak up in a time of genocide. Palestine is the compass. But here's the thing. What does it mean? It cannot just be a slogan. It must guide us. How we act and how we build. It guided me in the refugee camp where I grew up. Growing up in a Palestinian refugee camp in Syria, where you are surrounded by the injustices, you see firsthand the struggle of your people. You see it in the eyes of your mother when she's asking neighbors for money to get by through the rest of the month. You see it in your neighbors, you see it in your grandparents' voices when they talk about their life in Tiberias, in Palestine. You see it in your brothers who are struggling to get a visa to travel. But also, you see it in yourself, a young boy watching your people massacred on TV. Every conversation in the camp was about survival, but also about dignity, where every children understood, when even children understood that our lives were tied to something bigger than us. And when I got detained, I had few options. One, to remain silent and just wish that the system may vindicate me. Another option is to focus on my case, to focus on my family, and appeal to the people's emotions. And another is to focus and to connect my case to the larger case of oppression against Palestinians. I choose the latter. I chose that because I knew that I was targeted because I am Palestinian, because I knew that by my detention, they want to deflect from the reality that Israel is committing a genocide, that Israel has killed and maimed over 100,000 Palestinians and is carrying out this genocide backed by billions of US dollars money. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted me to just care about myself, just to care about my immigration status and to ignore the plight of my people. By being vocal, I took and I'm taking a huge risk. I'm being put under a microscope by the US government. They want to intimidate me. They want to silence us. And in all honesty, it would be much easier and safer for me to remain silent. But silence is not an option and should not be an option. I will not remain silent in the face of a genocide. I will not stay silent when my people are being starved and massacred. And I will continue to keep the focus on Palestine and its liberation. In organizing spaces, there were moments when such spaces felt heavy with tension. Disagreements, egos, ideologies. Sometimes it felt that those things would pull us apart. In all these moments, every single one of them, I reminded myself and those around me that Palestine is the compass. Not our pride, not our grudges, but the liberation of our people. Palestine and Gaza are the compass means to me that we build a national liberation movement whose compass is the liberation of land and people. A movement that's bigger than me, that's bigger than any one of us. It means building the foundations of a long-term struggle, an infrastructure that will outlast us as individuals, a movement that pulls in the largest possible base of people to fight for Palestinian liberation anywhere and everywhere. Because the last thing that we want is when this genocide ends, Israel would get away with its genocide. That everyone would forget about Israel's crimes against our people. Palestine is the compass also means to me that we build a movement rooted in Palestinian voices and experiences, in all their diversity, a movement open to allies across the world. And let me tell you this. The Palestinian liberation movement is winning. The fact that I was targeted by the highest officials and levels of this country means that we are winning. Means that we are succeeding in shifting the mainstream in this country for Palestine to be the mainstream. Also, it shows that our movement threatens the status quo, that it punctures the Zionist narrative and the propaganda that Israel depends on. Because Zionism only depends by portraying that Israel is a normal state. It's an ordinary state. But our work is to strip that facade until Israel stands exposed as a pariah state, until the Zionist genocidal project and the ideology of supremacy that it's built on collapse completely. Because Gaza has shown the world what resilience looks like, what truth looks like, what it means to refuse erasure. Even in the face of genocide, Gaza is the compass. Palestine is the compass. And as we march forward, not as individuals, but as a people, as a movement, as a revolution, until return, until liberation, until victory. Free Palestine. Thank you.
I believe that we will win. 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 Thank you again, Mahmoud. Thank you again, Mahmoud. Another round of applause for Mahmoud. Thank you again, Mahmoud. With your example, with your ability to remain steadfast, with your ability in the face of the transformation of democratic rights and their erosion to silence Gaza, another thing that Gaza reveals to us is the compass. I too believe that we will win. Currently, starvation, man-made starvation, threatens the lives of millions of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. States, international institutions have remained complicit and often aided this. Regional actors, the United States, and others in the global West. But where they have done this, the people have refused. Our next speaker, a Detroit native, Huwaida Arraf, has been at the head of these efforts. Recently setting sail with Chris Smalls, Jacob Berger, and others on the Handala, she has a long history in this movement. Please, brothers and sisters, welcome to the stage, Huwaida.
Thank you, assalamu alaikum. First of all, let me apologize for the mishap. I had asked actually not to go second, and thought apparently you didn't get that message, and that was, I'm sorry, that is because I just am overwhelmed with what to say, and I just recently got back from Palestine, and I'm devastated having to leave Palestine, but so inspired and was looking forward to being here in this community with you. So it is definitely a reason to leave Palestine and my people and to try to deliver a message. I want to thank you, Rama and Tahir. I'm so incredibly honored to be on the stage with incredible organizers and fighters for liberation, for justice. And to be amongst you all. You are my comrades, you are my teachers, my brothers and sisters. You collectively and individually inspire me every single day. And I want to say thank you also to all of the organizations bringing us here today, and especially to the Palestinian Youth Movement. The PYM continues to prove every single day that the Zionist Project's reliance on our young to forget has failed and will continue to fail. But we gather here today in a time of unimaginable pain, of horror. I frequently am at a loss for words. What hasn't been said to try to wake the world up, to wake up our leaders who are making these decisions, who are choosing genocide, who are telling, shame on them, they are trying to tell us that our voices, our movements don't matter. And we have a task to prove them wrong. And so, despite the unimaginable pain and the horror, we know that this is a moment of strength, and this also is a moment of profound moral clarity. The past 2 years have torn the mask off the world. Gaza has divided it in two. There are only two sides. There are those who support genocide, apartheid, and fascism, and those who oppose it. Those who organize and fight to win against genocide. There is no middle ground. Neutrality is impossible when children are being starved, terrorized, dismembered, buried under rubble, and burned alive. Inaction is unacceptable, and silence is complicity. Gaza is the compass because Gaza has become the litmus test for humanity itself. But what does that mean in practice? What does it mean for Gaza to be the compass that guides us, that guides our movements, our struggle, our work? For me, at the bare minimum, it means listening to the voices of Palestinians, listening to the voices of those living under apartheid, trying to survive a genocide and refusing to accept the lie that nothing can be done. And what are they telling us? What have they been telling us? What my brother and comrade Mus'ab Abu Toha told us this morning, that Palestinians don't want your charity, they don't want your pity, they want your solidarity and your action. They don't want humanitarian aid, they want freedom. And that was our message on the Handala. That has been our message with the Freedom Flotilla Coalition. Before that, with the Free Gaza movement, with the International Solidarity Movement. Our message is that Palestinians don't want your charity. They don't want to live on aid. They need us to change the political reality that has left them in need of aid. When we founded the International Solidarity Movement towards the beginning of this second intifada, we wanted to globalize the intifada, to expose to the world that Israel's policies have nothing to do with security, that Israel tries to tell the world, and that our government also regurgitate, gaslighting us. We thought that if we could get this message out, the world would wake up and not allow Israel to do this, to do what it's doing. And I must admit, that was a bit of naivete on our part. But we have and we will continue to globalize the intifada. And we will force our governments to listen to us, because they want us to accept a world that is unacceptable. But let me tell you a little bit about what we've been trying to do with the Freedom Flotilla Coalition. As many of you know, the Handala was not the first ship to sail. It was actually boat number 37 to sail. I was on, I'm sad to say, a boat in 2008 that tried to break the siege on Gaza, because from the very beginning of the siege, which started in 2006, 2007, which wasn't even the beginning, because before that, Israel has always controlled Gaza since it occupied Gaza in 1967, has always controlled Palestinian movement and Palestinian lives. But they imposed this medieval siege as a form of punishment, which is collective punishment, which is illegal under international law. But what was anyone doing about it? Nothing. Nothing, and that shame. And that is why a group of activists with the international solidarity movement thought, let's try to sail a boat to get to Gaza, because we couldn't get to Gaza in any other way. And we didn't think that we would actually get to Gaza with our small boat, but we thought, we're not turning back. We are not turning back. Yes, we are going to confront the Israeli Navy. Yes, we are going to confront one of the most powerful militaries in the world with a small fishing boat, but we will do it. We will do it. We won't turn back. And if Israel attacks us, let the world see that Israel's policies have nothing to do about security. We thought then that maybe our governments would stop Israel, would do something about it. And I must say that was naive. Naive, because today the whole world sees what Israel's doing and that it has nothing to do with security. And our governments continue to let Israel do it. But that doesn't mean that we stopped. And back in 2008, our message was that we are not turning back. And if Israel attacks us, they will have to use force to stop us. And we were willing. We were willing, ready for whatever they were going to do with us, even if that meant that we had to accept that we might be killed. And that's not because anyone had a death wish. No, people had homes and lives and works and children and grandchildren and parents to go home to. But people also very much believed that we had to take this action. We have to confront illegal policies. Speaking, talking is not enough. And back in 2008, in the summer of 2008, Israel backed down, and our small 2 fishing boats became the first boats to make it to Gaza in over 40 years. And you know what we came to, what we arrived to. When our boat started nearing Gaza, I looked out at the Gaza port and I saw a beautiful, beautiful sight. And so many colors that I thought were the stones and the rocks that make up the Gaza port. And as we got closer, I realized those aren't stones, those are people. Those are thousands and maybe tens of thousands of people who had come out to greet us with so much love, so much respect, so much joy, but love and respect that the entire world has denied to Gaza for their entire lives. And we were coming from countries, mainly the United States and Europe, countries that are complicit in trying to annihilate, in Israel's project of annihilating the Palestinian people, and yet they came out and received us with love and gratitude and respect, something that the world has never shown to them. All they have known is the brutality of Israel's occupation and colonization and the complicity or total indifference of the entire world. How does a population hold on to their humanity when the world hasn't shown them the same? I don't know, but they are showing the world how to do it. The world needs to take so many lessons from Gaza and from Palestine. And one thing that we promised when we left that summer of 2008 is that we will not stop sailing until the siege is broken, until Palestine is free. And we have not stopped sailing, even though Israel has arrested and injured and killed our colleagues and comrades. And what has the world done? The world has continued to allow them to get away with it over and over and over again. So of course now they can commit a live stream genocide and boast about it and post about it, and their leaders can openly talk about starving an entire civilian population because our governments have allowed them to believe that they are no accountability, that they can act with total impunity, and it is up to us to stop that. And we will stop that. But from our first votes to the Handala, our first votes did not carry any aid, even though the people of Gaza need it. But because our message has been over and over again that no, we need to break the siege. And even though in some of our missions we did carry humanitarian aid, on the Handala, our small boat, we packed it. We packed every corner with as much food and baby formula that we can carry. So yes, Israel sent out its navy, its big, bold navy, its ships, its dozens of armed commandos to stop a small boat carrying baby formula and teddy bears, and yet they want to try to tell the world that they are not deliberately starving civilians. But it's not only Gaza, it's not only Israel that is starving civilians. It is every one of our countries that is not actively trying to break the siege, that is trying to tell us. Our leaders right now, or quote-unquote leaders or representatives, are trying to say now that they are concerned about Gaza because images of emaciated children is not good for their political careers, and they are trying to get humanitarian aid into Gaza. And at the same time, they continue to vote to send money to AIPAC. Even other countries that say, look at all the aid we're sending to Gaza. If you are not putting that aid on ships and coming with us to break the siege, then you are complicit, because a country on trial for genocide cannot be allowed to determine what aid gets to people they're trying to annihilate. We will not accept what the United States and Europe and Israel want us to accept. A country on trial for genocide gets to decide what, if any, aid gets to a people they are trying to annihilate. That is a world in which none of us are safe. They want to destroy international law. They want to eradicate any kind of protections for humanity. They want might to rule, and that is one in which we are not safe and our children are not safe. So we are up against a fight that we must win. We must win. Not because international law is great and we must protect it. No, but we must show that the power of the people will prevail. The power of the people will prevail. I know I'm running out of time, so let me just say, Gaza is our compass because it points us to the truth. Freedom can't be won in isolation. We know that. We know when we are fighting for Gaza, we're fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for a world where no people live in cages, under siege, under the boot of militarism and fascism. If we want liberation in Palestine, we must also fight for liberation in Atlanta, in Standing Rock, in the Congo, in Sudan, at every border, from every river to every sea. All people must be free. And we let this compass guide us. We build movements that do not compromise on human dignity. We reject false neutrality. We demand accountability from our governments, our institutions, our communities. We stand with Gaza not just in words, but in actions. And when I say our institutions, I'm also talking about these humanitarian institutions that are founded, that exist to serve, to deliver humanitarian aid. Well, if you are on to deliver humanitarian aid, you must not compromise, you must not cooperate and compromise with the entity that is deliberately denying it. So all of you big institutions, you need to put your aid on ships and come with us. Not wait at Rafah for Israel to allow you to come in. No, Israel has turned Gaza into an extermination camp, and we need to tear those walls down. Okay, let me just... I'll speak more about this in our session tomorrow, but let me just end with a really quick story. Really quick. When we first got into Gaza in 2008, I was, I think, one of 2 Palestinians of over 44 people from 17 countries. And when I introduced myself to everyone, I said, I'm Palestinian American. My father is from a village inside 48. My mother is from the West Bank. They made their way to the United States, so I grew up in America. I'm living now in Ramallah, and I'm teaching in Jerusalem, and I just came home to Gaza. And the next day, I was in Khan Yunis, and an elderly Palestinian man came up to me with tears in his eyes to thank me. And I said, we deserve no thanks. We're just doing the bare minimum. And it's not enough. Nothing we do is enough. But he looked at me with tears rolling down his face, and he said, you gave me hope that our people outside have not forgotten us. And it's true that Gaza gives us hope, but let us know that everything we do every single day also gives hope to Palestinians. I just came from Palestine a couple of days ago, and everyone is telling me, everything that every single one of you is doing is giving people hope. So I know sometimes it's overwhelming, and sometimes I don't want to get out of bed in the morning. I just want to bury my head. I can't believe that this is the world we're living in, but it's up to us to change it. So never think that what you do or what you can do is not enough. It's not enough individually, but we all contribute to a collective, and we together will see a free Palestine. Free Palestine.
Give it up one more time for Huwaida. Thank you, Huwaida. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is a Palestinian refugee, born to parents displaced from Palestine. After the outbreak of the genocidal war in October, he made his first trip to his parents' homeland through an emergency medical mission. He returned to Palestine carrying the responsibility that we all carry wherever we go. He wanted to play a part in stopping Israel and the US brutal genocidal war. For this speaker, that responsibility has meant treating Gaza's wounded, working to rebuild and sustain destroyed medical infrastructure, and exposing the Western governments for allowing Israel to raise Gaza's medical infrastructure and lifelines to the ground. He has traveled all over the globe, ensuring and uplifting the stories of the doctors of Gaza and exposing this brutal crime. This is another reason why I guess you're known as the beast from the Middle East, huh? I just wanted to say that, the beast from the Middle East. Please give it up for Dr. Mahmoud Mustafa.
Man, do you know, I'm always nervous when I do these public speaking events. Usually I speak from the heart, but this time I actually wrote a speech. But, you know, I was sat there talking to Hawaii and I said to her, you know, there's so many people here. I'm nervous. I don't know what I'm going to say. You know, I'm not a public speaker. I'm just a doctor. But, you know, that's precisely it. This genocide is forcing us all to be something that we're not. So if I have to be a public speaker, if I have to be a politician, if I have to be a campaigner, then I'll be all of those things. So that one day, my children and my people can be free. That's why I'm doing this. Do you know, they asked me obviously to come here and talk about Gaza being the compass. What does it mean? And I thought I'd maybe, you know, try and do a Jordan Peterson thing. You know, what is the compass? What is compass? Do you know, so I thought maybe I'd do what the compass is. But you know, a compass, no matter who holds the compass, it always points in the same direction. It doesn't matter if you're Palestinian, if you're Jewish, if you're part of the LGBT, if you're Black Lives Matter, if you're the Native Americans, if you're the Aboriginals, if you're the Maoris, if you're the students on college campus, it all points to the same direction. And that's what this movement is. It doesn't matter which one of us carries this movement forward, whether you're Palestinian, whether you're Jewish, whether you're a student, the direction and the compass that is Gaza points towards one thing, and that thing is our freedom. Right, that was the off-script stuff. Now I might have to stick to the script. So look, I stand before you today with one truth. Gaza is the compass. Gaza is not just a place on the map. Gaza is the measure of our humanity. It is the litmus test that reveals who we are as individuals, as a nation, as a world. I'm a doctor, and I was trained to believe in one sacred principle, that healthcare is a human right. After the devastation of World War II, the world said, never again. The World Health Organization declared that every human being, everywhere, has the right to the highest attainable standard of health. No exceptions, no discrimination. But in Gaza, that promise is broken. Healthcare is not failing by accident. It is being sabotaged by design. Hospitals bombed, doctors killed, aid blocked. I will never forget that one night in the ER, after an airstrike, a mother came in carrying plastic bags. She handed them to me. Inside were the remains of her children, melted human flesh. She looked at me in the eyes as if to ask, "Doctor, is there anything that we can do? Is there anything left?" But there's nothing I could do. And that's the reality of Gaza. It is a mirror that is holding up to humanity. So I ask you this. Why is baby formula banned in Gaza? Why is feeding a child considered a threat? Why are incubators, ambulances, hospitals, the very lifeline of life, turned into targets of war? When did milk become a weapon? When did bread become contraband? When did saving a child's life become a crime? Gaza is the only place on earth where nourishing a baby is treated as an act of resistance. The only place where medicine itself is put on trial. The only place where life itself is seen as a danger. And the world accepts this in Gaza, and it tells every oppressor, you may criminalize survival itself, and no one will stop you. But let us be clear, it is not only the bombs that kill Gaza, or the children, it is hunger. Starvation is being used as a weapon of war. Gaza has now entered stage 5 famine. That is the most catastrophic level. That doesn't just mean that the children are dying of hunger in their parents' arms. It means that the damage is already irreversible. Malnutrition has reached so deep in these children in Gaza that they are changed at the genetic level. Changes that will be passed on to generations not yet born. This is not just destruction of people's present, it is theft of their future. This is why Gaza is the compass, because it does more than just measure politics. It measures the human soul. Gaza is the line between the truth and the falsehood, between justice and oppression, between humanity and barbarity. Gaza is the mirror in which the world sees itself. If you look at Gaza and feel nothing, it reveals who you are. If you can justify Gaza's suffering, it reveals what you have become. Gaza strips away the illusions, it unmasks nations, it tests faiths. Allah tells us in the Quran, and we will surely test you with something of fear and hunger and a loss of wealth and lives and fruits, but give glad tidings to those who are patient. Gaza is that test. It forces us to choose not with words, but with deeds. And it asks each of us, will you stand where the oppressed stand, or will you turn your back and walk away? I was in Gaza when 4 hostages, Israeli hostages, were rescued and the world celebrated. Yet on that very same day, more than 1,400 Palestinians were killed and injured, and the world looked away. I was there the night that the ceasefire was shattered, when 200 children were killed in an hour. I have seen babies die in their parents' arms, not because the medicine didn't exist, but because it was deliberately kept from them. And yet, despite it all, I have also seen strength. I have seen dignity, the unbreakable spirit of a people who refuse to surrender their humanity, even when the world denies it. This is why Gaza is the compass, because it challenges everything that we claim to hold dear. And let me tell you this, there is no comfort in standing up for Gaza. There is only pain. In this dunya, you may lose your job, you may be imprisoned, you may be illegally boarded, you may lose your reputation, you'll be vilified, you'll get death threats. But think about what we call sacrifice. We fear losing a title, a paycheck, a platform, while the people in Gaza are losing their homes, their families, their children, and their very lives. We count the cost of speaking, yet they are paying the price of silence with their blood. And so, remember this, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is knowing the cost. Courage is feeling the fear. And courage is still standing where humanity demands you to stand, because history is watching. Our children will ask us, where were you when Gaza was burning? And in that moment, no excuse will matter. Not fear, not silence, not neutrality. Gaza is the moral compass. The question is not whether it points true. The question is whether we have the courage to follow it, the conviction to act before it's too late. Gaza is the moral compass. Whew, I got through that speech. Hey, listen. That was probably the first ever speech I've given, and not just talked. But I want to tell you a little story about in Gaza. I remember when we had a mass casualty event and it was the middle of the night, and there were bodies everywhere, children coming in with limbs missing, mothers coming in with headless children. And I remember in the middle of the chaos of it all, a young girl, she was only about 9 years old. She was barefoot, she was scared, she was tired, she was bleeding. And she was holding on to her brother, her 2-year-old brother. Her house was bombed, her whole family was killed. And yet she went and she chose to dig through the rubble and take her brother and walk kilometers on end to try and find the hospital. She walked at night, in the dark, barefoot, with glass and rubble cutting her feet. She walked with drones hovering down, shooting at people. She walked at night when buildings were exploding around her. And she chose to keep moving forward and keep walking forward to save her brother's life. This is Gaza. This is the people of Gaza. You see, for her, it didn't matter what was in front of her. It didn't matter the obstacles. It didn't matter that she was a child and that she was scared and that she was injured. What mattered to her was to save her brother's life. And she walked through hell to make it to that hospital. And I remember looking at that little girl, and I remember thinking to myself, if she has the courage to walk in this war zone to save her brother's life, what excuse do I have not to come out of Gaza, to travel the world, to tell her story? What excuse do we have when a child in Gaza can face enemy fire and drones, carry their own siblings? It doesn't matter the obstacle in front of us. It doesn't matter what they do to us, because they can't break the spirit of the people of Gaza. And if the people of Gaza refuse to give up, then we can't give up. If they refuse to be silent, then we refuse to be silent. And if they continue to fight, then we'll continue to fight. You know, and I'll finish on this because I know I've run out of time. You know, my dad always used to say when we were growing up, I used to say, you know, Dad, one day Palestine will be free, you know, when all the Muslims and all the Arabs come together and they all work out the differences and, you know, then we're stronger and united together. And he said to me, you know, that's not going to happen. He said, Palestine will be free at the hands of Palestinians. And you know, I never understood what he meant by that. I always just thought, you know, we're just Palestinians, we're just refugees, we're scattered across the world. But you know what? If that little girl can face those F-35s by herself, if those journalists can choose to stay into Gaza and record knowing that they'll be killed, if those doctors can rush to injured knowing that they'll be bombed, and they still choose to do that every single day, and they refuse to surrender. Now I understand. Now I understand. When they kill all the senior doctors in Gaza, they didn't realize that a young junior doctor from outside of Gaza will come back eventually one day and rebuild that healthcare system in Gaza. No matter what they do, no matter what happens, we are here. We ain't going away. We won't stop. Free Palestine. Free Palestine.
بالدم نفديك يا فلسطين بالروح بالدم نفديك يا فلسطين. Thank you, Dr. Muhammad. Thank you, Dr. Muhammad, for your words and for your work and for the stories from Gaza that you've brought to us today. Our next speaker is a leader in a generation of Palestinian youth that for the last 2 years has brought energy, revolutionary energy, an uncompromising will to the struggle against the genocide in Gaza. Whether she is speaking in front of thousands of people or planning organizing meetings that run late into the evening, she brings the same uncompromising boldness and conviction that says when it comes to Gaza and its people, when it comes to the real lives impacted by the United States and Israel's genocide, no plan or task is too big and no detail is too small. She is a teacher, a leader, an organizer, and a daughter of Gaza. Please, brothers and sisters, give a warm, warm welcome to Lamis Mahanna from the Palestinian Youth Movement.
Give it up one more time for all of the speakers on this stage. I'm so honored to be here and to be in this room with you all. And for our generation, as we know, Palestine and Gaza are truly the defining issue of our time. And for the PYM specifically, Gaza has always been a centering force. In fact, the PYM was formed during the 2009 war on Gaza 16 years ago. And it's the issue that has transformed the lives of everyday people. People like you and I who have rearranged, redefined, and recommitted our lives to the struggle for Palestine. The movement for Palestinian liberation has been able to weaken the basis of support for Israel and revealed the true face of Zionism as synonymous with genocide. There are many millions now around the world, including within the US, who will never ever again believe Israel's propaganda. And there are generations that will grow up knowing the truth about Palestine. There have been major developments through organizing that we might have never thought possible just a few years ago. And yet, to our devastation, against our will, and at the expense of so many lives in Gaza, all of our actions have not stopped the genocide. And so, our question is why? Why has the genocide continued when the masses of the world have made clear day in and day out where they stand? Why has the genocide continued when over 80% of Americans have shown their support for a ceasefire? Why has the genocide continued when international bodies and human rights organizations, genocide scholars, have laid out in excruciating levels of detail the reality of this genocide? Why can't the ICC actually prosecute Netanyahu? Why hasn't the UN intervened in any real or tangible way? Why hasn't every single country sanctioned Israel? And why are there still corporations facilitating this genocide, from tech to logistics to media? One could look at these questions and feel stuck in their organizing or their movement work across the world and especially here in the US. But the continuation of this genocide is not due to a lack of will or a lack of hope or a lack of desire on the part of the people or the part of the movement to stop this. It's ultimately due to the character of our global system and the role of states and corporations within it. The world order is designed to benefit the interests of a few states and ultimately a few people at the expenses of the masses of the world. And this genocide has revealed that. It has revealed the undemocratic nature at the core of the status quo. The people of the world, the masses that stand with Gaza, see this clearly now. We all see this clearly now. This is what it means to say that Gaza is the compass. It means then that the only logical conclusion to ending the genocide is to transform the world that has allowed for it to happen. Gaza has made it so clear the importance of confronting decades of policies that favor endless wars, lobbied for by weapons manufacturers, the pro-Israel lobbies like AIPAC and other war hawk politicians. Policies that continue to line the pockets of billionaires at the expense of the global majority, including the millions of hardworking families in this country. Shame. And the supporters of this genocide know this. They know if we are able to bring about the changes needed to not just end the genocide in Gaza, but to hold all of those accountable who have been complicit, that it means we have ushered in a new world. And so their response is to do anything to stop the march towards the truth, and to put forth such bold-faced lies that they're basically telling us to deny what we see with our own two eyes. They're telling us to deny our own intellect and our own morality, to deny the burning tents and hospital beds, deny the double-tap executions of medical workers and journalists, deny world-renowned research institutions that have published the death tolls and shown the extent of this genocide. They're telling you and me and all of us to deny the truth and believe the Zionist propaganda instead. But they make a huge miscalculation, which is that you and I, all of us in this room, are proof of that, which is that our commitment to truth and justice is unshakable. Our morality and our intellect will not be insulted. We will not be intimidated. And we will not be made to turn away from Gaza. And we will not be complacent with a world system that does. We will not be denied the future that Gaza deserves. The one where the Palestinian people can self-determine their future, see their children grow up and grow up to fulfill their dreams and aspirations. The one where international institutions can actually move to uphold conventions on human rights without obstacle or fear of US intervention and sanctions. The one where we elect people that can actually represent us and not the interests of the few that bought their campaign. A future that brings about an end to war profiteers and to the very idea of genocide and occupation. And this is what they fear most. They fear a reality where Gaza is world-altering, because it is. Gaza has shown us that the choices in this world are that of between building a just world or sliding into full-scale barbarism. And we have chosen a just world. The movement for Palestinian liberation is the movement of our lifetimes. It's the movement that we've all chosen. It's the movement of the future. It's the only option. And it's the movement for all people of conscience. And it's a charge for all those who are willing to take it. As Dr. Ghassan Abu Sitta often says and reminded us on the panel just before this, tomorrow is a Palestinian day. Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Say it clear and say it loud! Gaza, you make us proud! Say it clear and say it loud! Gaza, you make us proud! Gaza, you make us proud! Gaza, you make us proud!
Thank you, Lemis. Thank you to all of our panelists, to Dr. Muhammad, to Huwaida, to Mahmoud, to Hatem, and thank you all for being here towards pointing your eyes towards Gaza and towards its people. Our panelists have grounded us in powerful stories, given us their perspective, shared lessons, shared things they've learned, an organization that they've built over the last years, real grounded experience in Gaza and in what it takes to fight for Gaza. When we come back, we're going to build on this. We'll be here in a plenary discussing the movement for Palestine in North America, building out these lessons and turning them into concrete action. As Lemis just told us, we have chosen to transform this world that has allowed genocide to go on. We have chosen to send all systems that allow for children to be starved and allow for doctors to be gunned down and journalists to be murdered by drones to be ended permanently. And so we'll be back here at 2:20. We'll be back here at 2:20 to discuss that. We have the fundraising boxes still in the front of the room. You can continue to donate to support the steadfastness. This is another key responsibility of ours to our people in Gaza. But before I do that, I want to ask all of our panelists to stand up one more time. And can we get a loud, loud round of applause for all of our amazing keynote panelists? Say it clear and say it loud. Gaza, you make us proud. Say it clear and say it loud. Gaza, you make us proud. Gaza, you make us proud. Free, free Palestine. Free, free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. Free, 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 free Palestine. Thank you again to our panelists. We'll see you back here in the Anas al-Sharif room at 2:20 for a plenary on the movement for Palestine in North America. And for those who want to continue grounding yourselves in Gaza, there is a virtual reality exhibit that takes us into the conditions before the genocide began, to understand what life was like and what the genocide has transformed it into. In the Hussam Abu Safiya room.